Today we need to dig into this thing. I really want to finish up getting the drivetrain fluids cleaned, flushed, and put that to rest. So we got some parts come in the mail over the last couple days while it was snowing. Super cold out here. I didn't get really a chance to get out here. But we've got our gasket, our T90 gasket kit. I'm really just going to be taking off the top shifter today so I can get in there and do a quick inspection and flush it from top down. Wash all whatever goop might be in there. I don't even know. We haven't taken the lid off that yet. That's today's project. We got some boots for the transmission shaft and the transfer case shifters. And we've got ourselves the Dana 44 rear differential pinion shaft yoke. I have a feeling I'm still waiting on the seal to come in. I should arrive today. But I'm guessing the yoke has got a nice worn out spot where they tend to have some wear on there, and then that seal often leaks around there. So I went ahead and got this just in case. If not, we'll use it on one of the other projects. So we're going to be taking off this shifter top here, right? These 6 bolts out of here. We're going to remove this and we're going to flush it from top down. Inspect those gears, see what we can find, see if there's been water sitting in there, who knows. But I wanted to explain to you guys, we know at this point this is a 4-wheel drive conversion, right? Probably a CJ-3A drivetrain on here, as explained in previous episodes. But I wanted to show that this certainly was a 2-wheel drive, and it had a column shifter on here. Here is the column shifter mechanism, for lack of better words. Okay, I'm not familiar with these in these Jeeps. My familiarity comes from my dad's early 70s Chevrolet pick-em-up truck, where I learned to drive. He did have 3-speed here. So I did learn how to drive on a 3-speed column shift. I'm familiar with that, but I'm not familiar with the mechanics of this. I haven't personally seen them. Here is the column notch out where a shaft would have went from here down into some linkage into the transmission through here, and your 3-speed and reverse would have been reverse, first, second, third, right? None of this didn't exist. This wouldn't have existed. And this wouldn't have existed. Although this cutout in this floor looks awfully factory, guys, which confuses me. And as I said before, this tub serial number matches the serial number on the frame. This tub is not cut out, but the transfer case is cut out because this is rolled. This steel is rolled just like you would normally see. I just don't know. I'm a little confused. Maybe somebody can pipe in on what we got here. Unless they had just the cover on this, right? Maybe this cover existed, would have been this way. Maybe this existed in the column shifter still. It was still there, but it just had a plate over top. Aha! It had a plate over the top. So it was like a universal. If you wanted to put a floor shift, or if they came with the floor shifter, because these are optional, column shift for the DJs or floor shift, 2-wheel drive, I believe. Maybe this was always there. That could be it. And then you had an option if you wanted to, if they put the floor shift in there, right? This was already in place. If you had a column, they just had it top covered, but the plate itself was always there. That makes much more sense. Much more sense to me. Anyway, maybe somebody knows. Let's get to work on this transmission, getting it flushed. We'll get a closer view. You'll see how it looks really original. So here's the floor opening, guys, and that looks, this is all rolled. This is all rolled. All the way up into here, it's all rolled. This has been modified here, probably to get, I don't know, maybe the bell housing or something. I don't know why. That may have been cut there, but not sure. But this is all rolled. This is rolled here. But this little section here is definitely cut out. All right. Let's see. We're in neutral. That's where we'll put it back as. Let's see what we got, guys. We got fluid in there. Can you see that color? Like tan. Well, come on in, take a look. Does have some in there. Got kind of a little bit of discoloration. But at least there's something in there and it's not all water. Drain plug is right down here. Okay. 5/8, I think, should take care of that. And let's hope we can get it. Break loose. Yeah, not bad. I had the opportunity a few days ago when the weather got a little bit of, before the snow came, because I knew the snow was going to come, but it was still cold. And I said, Sean, get yourself out there. Put that plastic, cut the holes in the plastic bag, 1 for your head and 2 for the arms, right? 2 arms, 2 holes, 3 holes total. Put that trash, that yard bag over your body and get underneath that Jeep. All right, here we go, guys. Yeah, it's got a nice, beautiful color to it. Get underneath that Jeep and pressure wash, because you're gonna be changing that fluid out or flushing that fluid soon, and you don't want to have to work around that whole thing caked up in the oils like they are. We're gonna go top side and flush from up top. That's why we took that cover plate off. Well, let's get some mineral spirits in here. And then we'll just hand spin those tires for a little bit. Run some mineral spirits through there for a little bit. Okay, I'm just going to turn the tires here. I'm going to get my brush, get in there a little bit with the brush. I've been looking at the teeth. Everything looks pretty good on this stuff, guys. So I don't think we got any issues with the T90 here. Everything looks good. Again, I'm not rebuilding it. Just cleaning it up. Oftentimes you hear about the brass fittings, right? The brass inside these, or the yellow metal. Okay, you've got inside here, this is your synchronizer. This is the synchronizer assembly, and it has a yellow gear up here, a synchronizer brass gear here. And there's another synchronizer gear here, okay? So those are the brass fittings that you often hear about the fuel or the transmission fluid debates that go on out there. It's because of those two synchronizers, those yellow brass here and here. Let's get the mineral spirits flushed. This is going to splatter. Come out like fast liquid here. Ah! Yeah, see there, guys? Making a mess. Making a mess. Oh, lovely. Yep, I told you. Making messes. Then we get, what am I going to get? The paper towels. Well, at least it's mineral spirits and not oil. And I knew it too, see? I think, what does that mean when you know something's going to happen and you do it anyway? Raise your hand. Raise your hand if you're in that boat with me. You know better, but you go ahead and you do it anyway. You know what the result's going to be. And you go and you do it anyway. I am up top spraying in some brake cleaner. Just help flush this out. Alright, I feel pretty good about that. So let's get in here, drain out this transfer case, Dana 18. See what we got in here. Heaven knows. Hopefully it's not water and it's going to splatter all over again, make a big old mess. Yep. Awful yellowy. Get that drained, then we'll take off the plate, the pan. Be nice to do this with a lift, wouldn't it? Fella got a car all around on the ground, however. Through the winter, this concrete's cold, guys. I get cold. The guy gets cold. Now I understand why people like to move to the warm climates. Get a little cold. We'll get new bolts. Okay. I think that's it. There it comes. All right. Oh, by the way, see how this gasket come right off? Whoever glued on the gasket on the transmission shaft or on the handle, transmission handle, that top cover plate, my goodness, it was glued on there again, guys. Now we just give it a little inspection, make sure there's no broken teeth. All right, that looks pretty good, guys. Let this dribble out. I don't even need to do a whole lot of work here. Looks really good in here. I'm happy. I'm going to call it a night tonight. I'm going to go help the kiddos hang some Christmas tree lights on the trees outside. Go have some dinner. It's getting cold. As soon as that sun goes down, it gets cold. We'll see you out here bright, not too bright and early. We'll let the sun come up, warm up the shop a little bit, but we'll see you tomorrow. Well, the guy's back out here in his Sunday's best on a Saturday morning. Let's dig into this. I went ahead and I sprayed up and cleaned up the top shaft cover. We got our parts in. Let's go ahead and get that T90 buttoned up today. New gasket on there. Get that back together and finish up this Dana 18. It all looked good. I bit the bullet, went ahead and got rid of 65 plus years of the caked on grease and grime that remained under there. Scraped it for a while, sprayed it with some degreaser, got in there and just got the dirty work done. I didn't want to dismount this from the jack, so I just cleaned off the chemicals with the hose inside, swept it out. I'm going to open this up, air it out, go inside, have some lunch, put on some of my Sunday best clothes and get back out here and hit it again. I'm going to open the garage doors, let it dry out. Be back shortly. So this is the PTO cover plate, guys. I'm going to have to pry that off there. Okay, I bet that gasket's all glued on there. Yep, it's all glued on there tight. Everything's good. We got the cotter pin in there. Everything's turning good in there. Everything's looking good. Keeping it. Not gonna mess. Not gonna mess with what's working. Alright, guys. Well, I'm waiting for that PTO plate, cover plate, to air dry. Psst, psst, psst. It got a little cleaned up. Let's go ahead and put on the transfer case pan. A nice thin layer. Don't need to overdo it. It's pretty thick. It's pretty thick little fiber gasket here of some sorts. By the way, once again, guys, let's remind everybody, stop gluing whatever it is you're using. I don't even know. Maybe a guy should look, but something's being used on some of these gaskets from these old timers. And that PTO gasket came right off on the case, but it was glued on tight, and I had to use the wire wheel, the deadly wire wheel, to get the gasket off. Okay, made a mess all over me, all those little fibers all over the garage. Okay, and the guy fell learned, took it outside and finished it up outside. But stop using whatever that is you're gluing that stuff on with, okay? Not what it is. Make it easy on some fellas, okay? Make it easy. Okay, I got all my bolts. These are not, I gotta take these gloves off. I'm making a mess all over my nice clean pan. These are not open holes, so you don't need to put any sealant on these bolts. Okay, guys? You can just drive them right in there. And these are going to get torqued to about somewhere between 12 and 15, I guess. That's probably good. That'll work. Maybe 14. 14 looks good. So the PTO, for those who aren't familiar with these transmissions, not in this gal, because we know it was converted from a 2-wheel drive to this 4-wheel drive. So, but on the early CJs that had that PTO, these T90s, they had a PTO shaft. That's why there wasn't a gas tank back there. A gas tank's under the seat, so they could put a PTO shaft from here right out the back. Right? Just like a little farm tractor. Your PTO, you can control that thing, and you can run different type of farm implements off that. Right? I personally haven't seen it, but I know there's lots of gents I still have those, and they keep them operational. It's pretty cool. Good for them. Now, these are open holes. Okay, guys? Each one of these actually go through, and they're going to be into the oil. So it's important that we put some sealant on our bolts so we don't leak through the bolt. So always check that. Sometimes all of them but one will be sealed. Not on this. These are always open, but on some of the engine parts and whatnot, you'll get one bolt hole that's actually in the liquid on the other side. And if you don't catch that, you'll get yourself a leaker. Alright, guys. What do you think? We do. Click, 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 click. Alright. That's on. Let's put our plug in. Leave the filler plug off. Close up the bottom plug here. Let's move on. Let's get this filled. Onward. Let's put the drain plug in the transfer case in the Dana 18. Again, I'm going to give her a little help. I'm going to put some gray, pro-grade Teflon tape on these threads. Okay. Nice. All right. I'm going to put the drain plug. We're going to fill the Dana 18 through its fill hole on the side. For the T90 transmission, we're going to fill that up top side. Look at this bell crank shaft for the clutch. It's barely holding on to the pivot ball hooked into the transfer case. That explains why it fell off on me. You'll see a little later in the show that I actually got a replacement bell crank shaft, the whole kit. Well, since we're in here, the fella should do the right thing and change out this front and rear seal of this Dana 18. Let's go ahead and whip that out and not take that shortcut. Watch all these little needle bearings in these caps. And they'll make a mess. There we go. They will make a huge mess. We might go to the store and see if we got some new U-joints. I don't know. We'll see. These are supposed to expand, and these have a little expansion here, but let's just take it off all the way since I'm going to look at this rear too. Yeah, be careful there. There are little needles. All right. All right, let's take off this yoke. There's the seal. You can see it's wet, so it's leaking. Oh, I'm happy to see this. There is no worn groove. Sometimes these will get a worn groove on them. And then that's a new seal will never seal them if they've got a groove on them. This one looks good. Whew, thank you. I'll clean that up. That's a reuser. We're just going to replace that seal then. All right, hot damn. Go ahead and remove this. That's the speedometer cable. We might as well replace the gasket here as well. All right. Guys, I'm not going to rebuild this whole transfer case. But as you can see, every little piece, you go a little deeper, a little deeper, a little deeper. So be careful. Next thing you know, you got a whole frame off restoration. That is not my objective with this. Okay? I'm just wanting to get it back running, lasting. Maybe another fella will want to do a restoration on it once it's up and running. Okay. I'm not on this one. I'm going to go change the seal. Okay? I got a new seal. It's going to go right in there. I'm going to pop this old one out from the backside. Pop this one back in there. Button it up. This was the culprit. This was the one that really got me to want to get this changed out. So let's get this pinion shaft seal. Get this yoke off and the seal replaced. That might be a booger to get out of there. That one might be a bug. Let's see how that yoke looks. I have another one on the way. So it does have that little wear line on it. You can see a little wear line on it. You can feel the lip with your finger. It's worn right through there. But I have another one on the way. For some reason it's delayed. So here's the replacement seal. I don't even see the rubber on there on that thing anymore. I'm glad I'm doing this anyway. Get that resolved. It's about there. There it is. There's the seal. What's left of it. Get it on there even, flush. Woohoo! Looks beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. All right, I'm gonna wait for the new yoke. I'm cleaning up the drive shaft. We'll be back. Let's go ahead and reassemble this Dana 18 bearing cap. Right, the bearing cap, the speedometer gear. This is oil facing. We're gonna put a little ultra black Permatex on the threads there just to help her along a little bit. It is in the oil. The speedometer cable will plug in and connect up right there. Okay, we got 7/8. We can tighten that up a little bit more once we get it attached. All right. Gear spins. Everything looks good there. We're going to seat this seal. Don't forget the springs. These got little springs inside. Right? Spring side is always oil side. Okay, put your gasket in there. Then seat your seal. I almost made a big old boo-boo. Almost. Didn't catch me though. Fits around there nice. Don't overdo it. You'll start distorting it. We got shims, guys. Okay, for this bearing cap. And it sets the play on that bearing. But we're going to help these along. We're going to go with what was on there. Okay, we're going to be good with what was on there. But we're going to give these a little help, and we're going to spray them with some copper gasket. Then we'll reassemble. We're just going to help these guys from not leaking between one another. All right, if you got all these shims in there, you're going to have places for the oil to run out. Each one of these shims is a place for oil to pass through. You can kind of see where the oil's moving along through there. I'm going to use copper spray gasket, high temp sealant. Just lightly coat, because this is going to change. This will change if you go too thick on this stuff, it's going to change the thickness of the shims. Just giving it a little help. We're going to let that get a little tacky. Let's get this rear bearing cap wrapped up. Okay. Now that I got the parts I need. Okay, we got the new seal. Obviously, we got new seals. We got all the stuff we need, and there it goes. And there it goes. Okay, guys, these are oil facing bolts. That means they're in the oil. What do we do with oil-facing bolts? We put some gasket sealant on them. We help them out. I don't know if all of them are at this point, if 3 of the 4 are, but I just hit them all. Okay, just hit them all. Okay, I've seen the torque spec on these anywhere from 50 to 70, so we're going to set this at 60. Call it good. There's 50. I don't know if I want to go much more than that. Boy, I certainly don't want to strip this out. Let's go 55. See how we're sitting at 55. 55 is good for me, guys. That's good for me. Yoke. Washer. castle nut, speedometer cable. I'm replacing the front. Gonna replace these seals while I'm in here, guys. Okay. Now, hopefully I can pop that seal out. I don't want to just keep digging in deeper and deeper and deeper. It's not the goal of this project to just do a complete everything. This girl is fighting good. She's not letting anything up easy. We almost got her. Gosh darn. Gosh darn, that was a booger to get out of there. Booger. Get the gasket out. I slept on that one, actually, guys. I called it a night light last night and said I will deal with it in the morning. Here we are, in the morning. All right, I'm going to clean that up. I got the new seal to go in. We're using the local farm store Harvest King 80 weight, 80/90. It's a GL5. Okay. The controversy with GL5s is they say that it corrodes the yellow metals, the bushings, the synchronizer gears, so on and so forth. But this one says, guys, right here on the bottom, it says, protects against corrosion of copper and bronze bushings, right there. Okay, I gotta believe it. Let's rethink this GL4, GL5. There's got to be something that people are so concerned about over this on these vintage transmissions. So I dug into it a little bit further. I felt a little uncomfortable with using this GL5 and suggesting it on at least my channel. So here, I'm going to make the correction, right? This GL5 Harvest King, to use it in the transmission, the T90 and that transfer case, that Dana 18, it could be a little too slippery for those synchronizers. It could cause a slight bit of grinding gears, particularly in the second and third gears, which I've read. And it also contains sulfur. Even though the bottle says it's safe on the yellow metals, there might be an issue on the brass, the little softer metals. Over time and with higher heat. These transmissions probably don't get that high heat, but I'm not going to take that risk. I don't feel comfortable having it sitting here on my channel. Also, the GL4s, that is for a transmission, guys. It's the correct friction to let the synchronizers bite for smooth shifting, and it's chemically safe for vintage brass. There it is. That's what I'm going to be comfortable going with. Get yourself some GL4. Wait if you need to for it to be delivered. Take your time. We're not changing the fluids in these things very often at all. We're not putting 10,000 miles, 15,000 miles a year on these things. So take your time, get GL4. There's plenty of research out there. You can look it up and go through all the controversy between the GL4s, GL5s, and the GL1s, the SAEs. It's a rat's nest, but I satisfied myself, and I just waited and I chose a Driven GL4, and I got myself a new pump while I was out there. Spent a little extra $10 on myself and got me a pump that would work. Okay, let's go topside. Topside. All right, guys, let's fill this transmission up. This T90. I've got the Go. I've got the Driven conventional 80/90 GL4 oil. All right, I already got the gasket on. I put Ultra Black Permatex on there. Line your forks up to the synchronizer and the first plate, first gear. Okay, I know you guys can't see this, but I don't have any more gaskets. I'm not gonna risk this. These are in the oil screws. What do we do with in the oil screws? We put a little sealant on them. I'm using the same gasket maker. Help the old girl along. Well, let's get these drive shafts wrapped up. I want to get them back on. I've already spilt my coffee, kicked it over, working on the ground here. Anyway, I already did one. Okay, I needed to make sure I could get that together, but it's quite simple. I've already greased and flushed the expansion joint on these. Okay, I filled it with grease, put a new Zert in there. After I painted them, put a new Zert. And filled some grease in there and then just kept pumping it until the old brown grease stopped coming out of the overflow. I guess that's an overflow hole. So that's good. I cleaned out. I already went through and I smoothed out any burrs that may be in here. So it's ready to go. I'm using the Moog or the Moog 369 U-joints. They come with the clips and a grease Zert. Okay, clips and the grease Zert. So it's quite simple. We're going to we have the grease Zert here. Okay, make sure that when you install that, you install them both in the same direction so you can access them in the same direction. Take your two ends off. These are already nicely greased. They have a nice coating of grease on them so the bearings are hanging on in there nicely. But I am going to put a little bit of grease inside the hole just to help me out a little bit. And we're going to put it in. We're going to put it in with the grease Zert. So you want to smash or insert it grease away from the grease Zert first. Okay, just makes it easier. It gives you a little more clearance on that. So insert that. Make sure you don't get those bearings all cockeyed. Now you can use a press. I don't have a press. Okay, I'm going to go on the concrete so I have something a little more firm. Make sure it's going in straight. Okay, pop the other side down. Nice. Enough to clear the lip or the groove in there for a retaining clip. Make sure it snaps in place. Go back to the other side. Get the clearance you need to put the clip into the groove. And that you still have good movement. Clip. Snapped in. There you go, guys. I don't know, I saw somebody just kind of tapping the ends of these. Maybe to help seat them or something. Simple as that. It's together. Put the grease zerd on. There we go, guys. Nice. Pins are in. I'll put tape around just like I did the other ones down there, just to hold those in, and I'll grease it just before I install it. I'm going to go ahead and do the other side just the same way. Let's go ahead and get this front drive shaft mounted up. I'm using nylon lock nuts for my hardware. Front drive line is on. Looks good. Just got to do the rear and do the clutch assembly. The bell crank or cross shaft. I'll show you that in a minute. So while I'm down here getting this done, I'm going to replace the transmission or the Dana 18 mount with a new one. I often find these things are blown out. This one actually doesn't look too bad, but let's see. I've never done this from below. There, look at that. Looky there. You know, that one didn't look too bad. That was not awful. Not awful. Let's let this down. All right. Good job. Transmission. Or transfer case. Rubber mount replaced. Well, guys, you know that when you dig into these old girls, you just keep digging. But as you saw in the video earlier, I pointed to the bell crank, the clutch bell crank shaft, also can be called cross shaft, clutch cross shaft. It was barely hanging on to the ball joint, right? One side against the transfer case was barely holding on to the ball joint, like so. It had come off on me. The vibrating of the engine, it had popped off, and I had to put it back on once. I don't know how often that happened in its previous life, but I said, I got to deal with that. So I went out and I bought a bell crank kit. Okay, that's what we got here. New bell crank, new ball joints, springs, plugs, cable, but I wanted to point out some things here. I wanted to point out one thing in particular I noticed, right? It's set up the same. The ears are a little different size on each than the one that came out, but it's also slightly longer. Look, you got like a quarter of an inch length on there, right? For this to sit on there. That's going to be helpful. The other difference that I noticed, I don't know if this is going to be helpful or not. Here's the old cable, the clutch cable that connects up to the fork inside the bell housing and then up, right, to your ear, right? This movement. When you're stepping on the pedal, you get this, pulls that clutch, right? Look at the size difference of the cables, okay? The two cables, this one ends here. This one ends down here. And it doesn't come, the kit doesn't come with the clevis here, or this extension. So, I am hoping that, and then the other thing was, look at the size difference in the rod. Right? So, the size difference in the rod and the size difference in the cable, I'm hoping they add up to a net zero in size difference. Okay? I could lay it out and I could figure that out. But we do have a difference. I wanted to point that out. I'm going to have to play around with that a little bit. Probably don't need this extension piece on there any longer. Probably go right from the clevis into here, right? With the longer clutch, with the longer cable. I'll probably get it here. This isn't needed. This is new. I haven't seen this before on my other projects, this extension piece. So I'm guessing that has been replaced with longer rod, longer cable. So I'm going to have to clean this, the clevis up. I don't have another one of those. I don't know why the kit just doesn't come with one. But I'm a little nervous about hooking this onto the fork inside the transmission, or inside the bell housing. I went in there and I cleaned this one off. I had to spray some brake cleaner in because it was gooped on with some grease, so it was a little difficult to remove from the fork, right? The pivot point on that fork. So I got to hook this inside the bell housing and hook it onto the fork, which is connected up, and push it up against the throw-out bearing. But I got to somehow, through a little access hole, I got to hook this into the fork. I hope I'm successful on that. I got a daughter who's got some long, skinny hands. She might be on top side through the T90 access port. I haven't took the access port off yet. Trying to see if I can just loop it on there, hook it, be done. Simple, simple. So, there's where we are. I'm going to go ahead and get this stuff prepped and get down underside and get it done. I also wanted to show how these get worn out, these rods. Look at the wear of the groove that's been put on that. It's almost all the way through. Likewise on that side, right? That whole groove versus what it's supposed to look like. That groove is not supposed to be there, so it's more than halfway worn. But I find that more often than not, that's usually how they look, guys. Let's assemble this bell crank shaft. First, get your sock cotter pins in. Do the same. the long ear side, the length side gets a spring. I dab a little bit of grease on it. It gets the plate and it's a little beveled, so make sure you put the outward bevel onto the spring. Add some grease in there. Add your felt bushing. They call these clutch cross shafts, or they call them bell cranks. A couple different names for them. Get this greased up. This is going to be sitting on your balls studs. Okay. That's going to be sitting on the ball stud. That spring is going to retract and keep pressure applied to that. The other side, we put in our shaft plate. Okay, some grease, your felt bushing, grease it up, add some more grease in there, plus that just holds everything in there for you. That's it. Cross shaft or bell crank, clutch bell crank, or clutch cross shaft is assembled, ready to go get installed. Let's get this clutch shaft assembled. I just installed the new cable here through the bell housing peephole. I was actually surprised that it was as simple as it was. I was really concerned that I wouldn't be able to get that. It was a little difficult getting the old cable off there because of the ball. It had some old grease that was holding the cable ball onto the fork. I had to spray some brake cleaner in there and break that loose so that I could loop it off there. And I just went in with my new cable, looped it on there. I didn't have to go through the top access plate. Let's put on the pivot ball. I've got a lock washer on here for my application. Okay. Grease it up. Put on the rubber seal. Don't forget the rubber seal. Re-grease it. We're going to put the other side on. Seal on there. Some grease. I think there's a little, remember, long ear goes towards your transfer case. It's going to go like this. I think there's a little method to this of sliding it on, sliding it over, on and over. Yeah, that worked good. And look how nicely that sits on there. Look how far that sits on there now. I got a washer in there and I've got an extra washer on this side so I can close up that tolerance a little more inside here. All right, so those balls go inside that shaft a little further. Wow, what a difference that makes. And the little longer shaft than what was on there. That's not going to come off like the old one was. Outstanding. Outstanding. Let's put our bolts in. Awesome. The rod goes to the pedal shaft. Oh, all right. Just for the record, I had to get in and sand these edges of this rod down a little bit. It wasn't going through. There must have been some burrs or something on here, so I had to sand that down a little bit. Let's put in the cotter pins. Okay, cotter pins are in. And when we push on those pedals, should go. Now let's hook up clutch cable. We're obviously going to have to adjust this. Just a little heads up, crimp your connection here where your wire goes in. If you got the same stuff that I did. Give that a crimp. Make sure that never falls out again, okay? Okay, cotter pin. All right, cotter pin's in. We're going to have to make adjustments to the cable length, depending on the clutch itself. But let's go top side and give that clutch pedal a push. You guys keep an eye on things down here. Let's see how it goes. All right, I think we got it. Won't know till we try it. It's in place, guys. All I've got left, rear drive shaft in, okay? Getting the last pieces and parts done here for this drivetrain. Okay. That looks good. All right. We got it done. Drive shaft is done. Everything under here that I need to take care of is done. I'm going to adjust this clutch. Call it a night. What do we do when we get our project done? We go scooter. Factory. Let's scoot. No brakes. No lights. Just four-wheel low. Well, we got Chromo back rolling again. We did a lot of work on this episode. We did the T90, we did the transfer case, the Dana 18. We did front and rear seals of that transfer case. We did the rear seal of the Dana 44 rear axle. We flushed those fluids. We inspected. We used the proper fluid. We used GL4. We pushed aside that GL5. We got GL4. Did it right for these guys. We rebuilt the drive shafts, front and rear, new U-joints. And we did the clutch cross shaft, the bell crank, clutch bell crank shaft. What do we need to do now? Next episode, we take care of these brakes. I'm not really looking forward to that, but it's got to get done so that I can go further than just around the block. I can actually go down the road a little bit and see how this thing actually operates. Subscribe if you like it. It helps out. I got some other projects we're still working on. You guys know about the 1960 CJ5 Westcliff. You know my original CJ-3A Pueblo. I haven't introduced you to this guy yet, but it's coming. Have a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. Until next time.